Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Corridor Digital Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about this. We've put a bunch of work into this room. We've got a bunch of great guests in here. It's been months in the making, and we're finally here. The episodes are live. This first episode is with Jake Roper, the host and producer of VSauce3. He sat down with Wren and I. We had a great conversation. We talked about his love for science and movies. We talked about beme and his experiences over there. We talked about how Vsauce used to be owned by Google and then became its own company. And lastly, we talked about his stage 3 cancer, which he was recently cleared from last year. So some pretty powerful stuff. He's a great guy. Sit back and enjoy the conversation. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would definitely recommend it. Jake Roper, the host and producer of VSauce3, 3.5 million subscribers, a fantastic channel. There is nothing like it on YouTube. In fact, there's nothing like it at all, I think.
That's very nice of you.
Well, it's true.
Ren, give me compliments now.
Feed me compliments.
It's so pretty and informative and fun.
It is, and it's this blend of science. It's this blend of movies, and you kind of just go through it like you're on a little adventure.
Yeah.
And so I want to talk about Could You Survive the Movies, but before we get into that, I want to hear a little bit about why science. Why movies?
Okay. So I've always loved filmmaking. I've always wanted to be a director. And I think for some reason I just kind of gravitated towards science as being the genre of film that I made. Or not so much the genre, more as like the topic, and then the genre can be anything.
Right.
One of the things I love about film, tangent, is that it allows you to, for at least a brief amount of time, be it an hour and a half, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, to be in control of somebody's emotions, which I think is so interesting.
Yeah.
You know, because like, I don't know about you. I know Ren cries a lot, but like I don't usually cry that often.
Baby boy.
But like
Every
when I'm
hour.
watching a movie, like the first 10 minutes of Up, you just start crying. And like that kind of power, the fact that something that you're watching can do that to you, I think is so curious and so interesting. And I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So that's where my love for filmmaking came through. And also I think a little bit of the psychology. So when it comes to where did this marriage come from of science and film, it seemed to me when I started doing Vsauce that I didn't just have to be a talking head with a black background, like talking to camera, throwing to like B-roll or archival footage.
Yeah.
It could actually feel like an adventure that we were on. There could be a story to help explain and express what we're trying to talk about. Because as you said, like one thing I really care about is making it feel like an adventure, making it feel like an experience that we're going on together.
Yeah.
It's something that's really key to me because it keeps it exciting for myself, but hopefully it keeps it exciting for the audience. Or even if you're not that, like, I don't really care about the square cube block. Well, let's express it in a way where it feels really exciting and really big. And you're like, wow, I just went on this cool journey and now I know about all these different things.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Were you interested in science as a kid?
I was a little tinkerer. I was really into building things as a kid.
Did you Legos or Connects?
Legos. I didn't have
Legos,
Connect
I'm
money.
a Lego
Sorry.
guy.
Oh, what?
Connects were expensive.
Were they?
My friends would go, he'd be like, I built a roller coaster. And I was like, I built Jurassic
Built
Park.
a castle.
I don't know. I love
Yeah,
Connects.
Well, okay, Richie Rich with your Connects money.
Whoa, okay.
Father dear, I need to get a motor for my Connects. Pass me my wine flask. Is what Ren does all the time.
I drink my Connects wine flask with the pinky out.
Yes, my Capri Sun is delicious. At 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Anyway, yeah, I was really into it. I love building things. Like I remember when I was 11, I built my very first computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a
pretty
full, like a
young.
desktop computer?
Oh yeah. I went to
Dude.
CompUSA back when they existed.
Wow.
Bought all the parts. It was an AMD processor.
Man.
It was dope.
Dude, I didn't build my first computer till I was like 20.
Yeah, I was 27 when I built
Well, I
my
mean,
first
if it makes you
computer.
guys feel any better, I was 11 when you guys were like 20, so it was about like the same time.
Oh, yes, that's right.
because I'm so
You're,
young.
you're like, what, 20 years old right now?
Yeah, today's
Young
my
man.
So I've always been curious about how things work and putting things together, and also just like I don't know, physics has always been interesting to me because I just think I don't know, it's not super intuitive, but when you understand the concept of something, you're like, oh, now that makes sense. Like that, like force, I get it. I think that's
laws
just,
of the universe.
yeah,
Everything abides
everything
by it.
it abides by it. So I've been talking so much today.
Like the dude.
Abides, yes. That's a movie reference.
That's a
All you
throwback.
young kids to a film called The Big Lebowski.
Almost blanked.
For some reason, I was going to say Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, and I don't know why.
That's a different movie.
That is a much different film.
Yeah. Maybe they say the dude abides in there too.
I don't think they
Who
do.
knows? So can we get a verification on that?
Anyway, I don't even know what we're talking about.
Science as a kid.
Science as a kid.
And you got so your current I guess channel basically revolves around merging filmmaking with science and trying to make a good, fun, interesting, like a good time, right? Someone is entertained, but they also learn something along the way, hopefully.
Yeah, you said it much more clearly than I did. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, you're great, Wren.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're a pro.
So yeah, you spent how many months working on this? Can you survive Mad Max?
I mean, in actual pre-production until we finished it was about 5 to 6 months. But I've been working on I pitched it to YouTube in May of last year. And then it took us until May of this year to actually get into pre-production.
And this is a YouTube original show, which means everyone can watch it for free right now.
Yeah, that was something that was very important to me. At the end of the day, us creators don't have a say in if it's original or premium, which is behind the paywall. But I was very adamant in it being original by just bugging them every single week. And luckily by the end they were I remember we had just did our picture lock on the video. It was done. We had already finished color correcting it, everything. And they were like, hey, good news. It's going to be free to watch. So now you need to go back in and make 5 commercial breaks. And we're like, but we lost our editor and all that stuff. And then a few hours later, oh, never mind. We're just going to do a commercial at the beginning and the end. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Oh, nice.
So we didn't have to change anything. But I was so excited about that because, I think I want to make videos. And the reason I went to YouTube is so everyone can watch them.
Yeah.
There's no barrier to entry. It's not like a ride at Disneyland. You can be any height to ride the ride. And that's what's important to me.
Yeah.
Is if I made something and only 100,000 people could possibly watch it, that seems less rewarding to me than being able to have anyone watch it. So that was a very key part to me. So yeah, luckily it's YouTube original, and if I get to make more, they'll all be a YouTube originals. So that will hopefully, my dream is, knock on wood, that this is all I'm gonna make. It's just 8 to 10 episodes a year of Could You Survive the movies, and then that's it.
Are you in the process of pitching the next slate of episodes?
So we did. About a month or 2 ago, I sent the deck of what I saw for the season. We're waiting to hear back still. Probably won't know anything until next year, which is a bummer, but we're just waiting.
That's 2 months away.
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones, I'll just give you a little tease,
Yeah.
little taste of some of the ones that I pitched were Blade Runner. I would love to do Blade Runner. Not
Yes.
only would it be visually amazing, imagine the score for that.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
But also there's just so many interesting topics that we can talk about. We can kind of talk about, actually uploading one's consciousness to a being. I know that it's a little bit different there because it's artificial beings that do have consciousness. But I think talking about that, the singularity, all these different ideas are really curious to me and really interesting to me. Because one of my favorite topics is always what makes you you. If you did, and again, this doesn't really happen in Blade Runner, but if you were able to put your consciousness into a computer, is that computer human? What is it that makes you a human being? If you lose all your arms and legs, you're still a person.
Right.
So at what point do you have to lose enough to no longer be human? And what is it that makes us human? So I really want to explore that.
It's a very philosophical topic.
Yeah.
It is. It's psychological. It's philosophical. It's theological even.
Yeah. We got all the logicals.
Wow.
So I want to do that. There's Back to the Future, which would be dope.
Yes, that would be sweet.
Alien, I really want to do. Indiana Jones, I really want to do. So there's some things in there that I would love to make.
But so you spent the last several years basically just making science short videos, 5 minutes long, sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little less. And so it seems like you're kind of done with that stage of your career. You're kind of over just making short videos and you want to make more of this long-term content. So you're saying you want to make 8 half-hour episodes a year and just do that for the next several years or longer.
That would be enjoyable for me. I mean, I think this is actually a thing that I felt a lot when I started making YouTube videos, is that I felt like they had to be short. I couldn't be engaging or interesting or have enough information to make a 10-minute or 15-minute video.
Well, yeah, and it was behind the whole mindset of YouTube is, short attention span. You got to grab them in the first 10 seconds and you can't have a video be longer than a few minutes. Otherwise, they're gone. They're never coming back.
And what I've learned is if, as long as it's interesting and you can keep it interesting, then it should be as long as it needs to be to tell the story you're trying to tell.
Totally, yeah.
You should never just shorten it artificially because I think if it's 3 minutes, it'll do better. It's no, if it's a story that takes 10 minutes to say, then say it in 10 minutes. If it only takes 3 minutes, but you're stretching it to 10 minutes, then maybe don't do that. So
like The Hobbit.
Like The Hobbit. I actually just watched a really great fan edit. Maple Films fan edit. Where it's all 3 Hobbit films condensed into 4 hours and they cut out everything that wasn't in the books. It was great.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah. And
really
that seems like such a better idea for the Hobbit films, because that was my main complaint, is that it was just I didn't mind so much it being split into 3 films. I minded that there was so much in each film that I just didn't care about and just didn't feel necessary. So hearing that, like, there's a fan edit that really just trimmed out all the fat, even though sometimes I'm kind of iffy on fan edits because you have an amateur coming in just slicing apart a professional's work. And so, like, there's some, I don't know, complications when it comes to, like, doing that.
Well, here's what I would say about this one. If I didn't know it was a fan edit, I have no idea. Like, they have the music transition, like the edits go so well that like you can't really tell at all that it was sliced together after the fact.
So so you're saying it's well done, which is great.
And so like we're changing topics now, but last week I had a fun little week for myself, and I watched the Hobbit fan edit, the 4-hour version, and then I followed it up with Fellowship of the Ring Extended Edition, Two Towers Extended Edition, then Return of the King Extended Edition. And that was really cool because like
in one go.
Not in one night, like across in a week.
Okay,
but it was so cool because you know in the Hobbit, like Bilbo gets the chainmail thing and he gets like his sword, and then we see that all in like the Fellowship and stuff. We're like Bilbo's like, take this chainmail that I got. And like, I remember when he got that. Like all these little things happening. Like, okay, I get it.
Do you want to tie some of that through some of your content, like a little bit more of a narrative in that sense, or?
I do. I mean, I've made like for some of my videos, I've made semi sequels to them where like I made one called Could You Survive a Fallout? And then a year later I followed it up with What If the World Ended? And in my own like universe, those movies happen after each other. Yeah. But I'm the same character. So like I started to be like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. Like I haven't seen you since the bombs dropped. It's like, oh, that was the same character from there.
Right. Okay,
yeah. So I try and have them, and then I made a third movie in that little trilogy, which was called Are You a Parasite? Which was kind of like my characters survived the apocalypse and now we're in this like barren winter wasteland. So I try and do that where like there is a through line, but again, even with the Mad Max video, I try and make them where if you had never even seen the movie or don't really know the previous context, it still makes sense to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why I wanted to bring that topic up first, because I think in a way you've kind of stumbled on an infinite format in a way, which is very good.
Oh,
very good job. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
It's really hard to do. Not a lot of people know how to do it, but just with the ability to draw on things like what vampires and Blade Runner and uploading consciousness and getting all that from one world and then applying that to actually what we know about science. I mean, you can kind of do that across anything, and that's, I think, what's fascinating about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what makes it really exciting to me. I never wanted to be one of those creators or filmmakers, whatever we want to classify ourselves as, that makes the same thing over and over again. Because at the end of the day, it is kind of the same thing, but it's expressed differently.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to me.
And you explore different topics within those things. The format is the same, but it's, you're exploring completely different topics.
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is the beginning and the end are always the same. It always starts with Vsauce, I'm Jake, and then it always ends with, and as always, thanks for watching. Everything in between those 2 points can be whatever I want as long as it leads to that final area.
Right.
And that's because that's kind of like the Vsauce format. Is that?
Yeah.
Are you holding to that because that's a Vsauce thing?
I hold to it mainly because it allows me to focus better. Like I need some constraints to make something. Mm-hmm. If I have no constraints, I don't know what to make.
Dude, I hear you. Right. Yeah.
Like if someone was like, hey, Jake, here's $10,000, make whatever you want. I'd be like, well, I don't know what to make.
Yeah. So
I need those things like, okay, it has to be science focused. Great. That's this pillar that I can stick to. Yeah. It has to start and end with these like phrases. Great. That's a pillar that I can stick to. So I need those things to help control my creativity and focus me into actually coming up with ideas.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I think that's great. I'm going to transition now. Hard transition. Yep. New topic. Tell me about beme.
Oh, beme.
Dude, it's beme time, man.
It's beme time.
All I know, here's what I know.
Yeah, give me the gossip.
I'm the gossip guy. I was on YouTube the other day and I was watching Jake Roper's channel and I was watching Casey Neistat's channel, and all of a sudden you guys were like, "Hey, we're doing beme," and then beme went under. So what I don't know, and I think what people would like to know, is what happened. Why is it no longer? Why are you no longer involved? Why is
Well, to preface, should we preface this a little bit? Like Beme, for those of you who don't know, Beme was a company started by Casey Neistat after they were bought by CNN.
So Beme was a...
See, we don't even know. This is why we need to ask.
Yeah, let me go back in time. So Beme was an app created by Casey Neistat.
That's it.
And his partner on the project, Matt Hackett, who's like a brilliant engineer and manager.
Okay.
So they started Beam as the social media app, and the app was, I mean, I still have it on my phone. It doesn't work anymore, but the first app was kind of like Snapchat, where you could record like 5 seconds of your life and then we just upload it. But what made it interesting is that you couldn't actually have the screen active. You couldn't look at it. Because like on Snapchat, you're not really living. You're like, okay, I got to get this framed right. This was literally, you hold your phone up against your chest, the screen has to be blocked, and then it records, and you can't watch back what you just did. It automatically then uploads it. And that was the premise of Beam. It's beme, right? Like you're actually just showing what you're experiencing, and there's no editing or you can't redo it. Once you film it, it's gone. It's done.
Oh, okay.
So that was the app they created.
Yeah.
And then CNN bought the company. Not so much for the app. They ended up killing the app. But they bought it for like people like Casey, Matt, the tech team. Because CNN really wanted to get into YouTube and like focus on digital content and how to get a younger audience onto their platform. So that's why they bought the company. And then after buying it, Casey called me. Because a little fun story, I've known Casey for like 9 years.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like your guys' relationship goes far back before Beam, and it's like he's like looking on YouTube. Who should I hire to help run this company? Like, oh, this guy looks cool. No, you guys had a previous relationship for quite a long
for
time.
Like 9 or 10 years, because I think when I was 21, I first started working for him. Like I edited this Dockers documentary for him that him and his friend Oscar, who's now like a wonderful movie producer, were making, and they hired me to edit the thing. So I was working.
Dockers, like the pants?
Yeah. They
give me like 2 seconds on that.
Because Casey, you know, he always would make these branded pieces that didn't have anything to do with the brand. Like his Nike one's his most famous one, where it's just like, they give me a bunch of money and I spend it on traveling around the world with my friend Oscar.
Right, yeah.
Or like his Do What You Can't campaign for Samsung. It's not about the phone.
Right.
It's about the idea of what the phone could be. And that's like how he does advertising, which I love.
Right.
So with Dockers, the documentary was called An Emasculating Truth. And it was about like what it means to be a man. Okay. So, and like Dockers, no one's wearing Dockers. Like, I don't even know what their engagement was, but
yeah.
So we did that. And that's like, so there's like a photo of me of little 21-year-old Jake on his Polaroid wall in his office. Like there's just like this little photo of, I always look at it when I'm there and I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm terrible.
It's a little baby Jake.
Little baby Jake. So that's when I first met him. And we also did work at this television network called Plum TV together, where he would make like these ad packages and stuff for him. And I was just a producer there.
And that was before he did his HBO show.
That was before the HBO show. Yeah, so actually the guy, Tom Scott, who created, different than the YouTuber Tom Scott.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like,
yeah.
wait, what?
Tom Scott created Nantucket Nectars. And when he sold that company, he then created Plum TV, which was this television network.
So you went from Juice to TV?
Juice to TV.
Damn.
And so he kind of like found Casey. They found a lot of interesting people, like Supermarché, like Henry Juiced, who did Catfish, Casey Neistat, myself. Like we all started at Plum. And then Casey's TV show actually was helped by Tom Scott, because he started then working with Casey and was like, oh, let's like do movies and stuff. So they did a movie called like Daddy Longlegs together that I think Casey like executive produced and Tom Scott executive produced. And then they also did the HBO show that Casey had with his brother Van. So I was like 21, just sitting in the Chinatown office. Like Van had one side at the time and Casey had the other side. And I would just like edit. So anyway, I'd known Casey for a long time. And we've just always been friends. And so, when this opportunity came up, he called me. He was like, you're the only person I can think that can do this. Like, we need to make a news network on YouTube. But he didn't even tell me that yet. He was like, I have this cool opportunity I want to talk to you about. Fly to New York. I was like, sweet. So I like flew out a few days later, met him and Matt Hackett and a guy from CNN.
Where did it go from Be Me, don't show, you can't see the screen, to News Network?
So it was this multi-pronged idea where we saw Beam as being Beam News, Beam Tech, and then Beam Productions. And Beam Tech would still be the same tech team, and they'd be focusing on two products. One was called Beam Panels, which actually did launch. And the whole idea, which I really did love, because I mean, like most people, you get sick of news, and especially the way that news is presented, it feels very disingenuous, and it doesn't. It's not accessible to me.
Right.
The point of Beam Panels was that we would ask a question about something that was happening, and then you, the user, would upload your own thing. So instead of a talking head show of like 10 different people that you don't know that don't represent you, it'd be you. Be like, here's what I think about this topic. And then people could respond to your topic and just be like a whole discussion that you're having through 30-second videos. That was the first product. The second one was called Beam Wire. That one never launched. I don't even know if most people know it was ever in existence. But that was a really cool one too, where the thing we liked about CNN was they had endless resources that we could capitalize on. One of the resources that they have live streams from every single like press conference, every single like embassy, everything. We could sort those and like allow you to access every single live feed. So you would be the one who chooses what news you want to watch. So that was the app we were creating for that. And it also had this really wonderful facial recognition algorithm. So if it was like someone important speaking, it would tell you like, oh, this person's speaking outside the Turkish embassy. And you click on it and be like, oh, it's that person. It would give you a whole bio of them.
So instead of getting, like you do when you normally turn on CNN, getting the feed that's local to you, you could get any feed that they're
and also it's
recording.
not curated by anyone. There could be no bias because you were watching it with your own eyes, not through a filter of somebody else's.
Right.
And that was kind of the idea behind it, is that you choose the news that you want to digest, and you digest it exactly how you want. No one else is cutting it up for you and serving it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when you fly out to New York to talk to Casey and Matt, like, how do they pitch this to you? Like, what were they wanting to hire you for?
They weren't sure at the moment. They were like, we just want you to run, either like be the creative director of beme or be the director of production. I kind of was both. So like I'd sit in with Casey and Matt on like, what's the branding going to look like? How do we actually show things? Like when we have text on screen, like what does that look like? So I was in charge of like all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
And like, what is the look and feel of the show? The issue that we ran into is we didn't figure out the show yet. Like, I think one of the best videos we made was when I first got there. I was there for like a week and then I had to fly back to LA because I hadn't gotten a place in New York yet. Casey and I just filmed a video about hacking because he had just gotten hacked. And so I was like, oh, I know about this cool device called the Pineapple, which allows you to basically spoof Wi-Fi networks. So you can create a Wi-Fi network and be like, free Wi-Fi, and then people connect to it, and then we get everyone's access. So we went to a Starbucks. We got one of the engineers at Beam, and we went to the Starbucks across the street. And the engineer and I sat in a corner, created a fake network, and then Casey like went up to the counter, ordered a coffee, and then like joined free Wi-Fi, and we could see everything he did. He like logged into his Chase account, and we could see like his username and his password.
Oh, whoa.
We could see everything he was doing, and it's so easy. Just this $100 device we bought off the internet, and that's kind of what the impetus of this episode was. And we made it. We only half made it because then I had to leave, and then Casey started his vlog again. Because I don't remember, but after the company got bought, he stopped vlogging. He was like, I'm done vlogging. He was just going to focus on Beam. Then he started vlogging again. We ended up not finishing that episode. And then, so the long story short.
That's super interesting. There's a half-made episode out there somewhere.
Yeah, on my
about the
computer.
Pineapple.
It was really cool though. Like because also this is back, like he had that hack. Then there was that huge data breach. I think the Equifax thing like happened at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of about how not secure you are. And that was kind of the whole conceit of the episode. And that's kind of what we had envisioned the show would be like. It would be kind of like this investigative journalism, but still in the style that Casey and I have, where it feels homemade, but also like high quality.
So how would the consumer access these multi-pronged parts of the network of Beam? What was the intent there?
So the intent was we'd have Beam News, which would be the front-facing YouTube channel. That would then feed to the apps. Like people would hopefully find the apps organically.
So multiple apps.
But also like one idea we tried doing, and we stopped by the end, but we would try and include Beam panels participants in a topic. So we know that we're making a video about like electric vehicles. Let's ask a question on panels about electric vehicles, and then we'd include those voices in the episode. So that was trying to drive traffic from both things. Then we had Beam Productions, which was meant to be the thing that actually generated revenue. And that was like, okay, we have a great connection with Samsung. Let's make all of their commercials. We just have like Casey and Jake. Let's make documentaries. And that was the main thing that I was sold on. Because the news thing, I was like, okay, this could be interesting, and I want to challenge myself, see if I can do it. But the whole point was Casey and I do news for 3 to 6 months. And then that thing runs itself. We don't have to touch it anymore. And then we focus on Beam Productions, where my whole goal, I remember like sitting with them and talking to them, what I really wanted to make, I was like, let's be the first YouTube channel to get nominated for an Academy Award. I was like, I want to make a mini documentary that gets nominated for like best mini doc at the Academy Awards. How do we do that? And that was like one of my big pushes, and like everyone was super excited about it. We never got there, but that's kind of what Casey and I had focused on. We were working on like a YouTube original show that'd be a documentary series about YouTubers, but done in the style of like, you know, Fog of War, Thin Blue Line, where it's someone talking directly to camera, and then we do these beautiful recreations that are cinematic to express what they're talking about.
Right.
But we didn't get to that point.
Huh.
Now, anyone who's familiar with Casey Neistat or Beam knows that it eventually did get shut down. What led to the eventual shutdown of the company? Like, I know there are lots of different factors involved. Can you talk about that?
Give us the summary.
Yeah, there was a few things that led to it. Because at the end of the day, you know, even though we did have, which I'm very grateful for, CNN did give us complete control over doing anything we wanted to. At the end of the day, they were our bosses, and they had a different vision for it than what we did. You know, originally we were given a very long runway of 3 years to figure out what we wanted to do. And it takes time. Like, I think creating something new, like you have people like Philip DeFranco who make incredible news content on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create something different and new and exciting that wasn't like Phil, that wasn't like Vice. And that takes time.
Yeah.
And we finally, I think, found our footing about a month or two before they shut us down. But the reason that led to it, there was a few factors. One was that they were planning on this merger between Time Warner and AT&T. The merger got killed and the Department of Justice killed it. They weren't able to do it. So they had factored all of their budgets and all their things for that. Since they didn't have that happen, they then had to lay off a lot of people and like adjust their budgets. So that then lowered our budget to such a degree that it didn't really make sense to keep it separate from CNN anymore. So they're like, we're going to roll it up into CNN. Casey at this point kind of wanted to do stuff, other things. And he didn't like having to work with a bunch of people. Like, he's a very independent person, which I think
He's a lone wolf.
which most creators are. I mean, the reason that we do
Yeah.
our stuff is because like I can edit it, I can shoot it myself, I can
Yeah.
write it myself.
Right. It makes it personal.
And I think, and I understood his frustration with working with a bunch of people. It can be frustrating because again, we were trying to figure out what the show is going to be, and in that period, we didn't know how to run a news business, so we leaned on CNN. CNN was like, you have to hire like these 8 people that do these 8 jobs. Like, okay, but then we had them and we didn't know what to do with them. Because like, well, we're still trying to figure out what the show is, but now we have all these people that need to do stuff. So I think there was just a lot of pressure there. But the main issue was just the merger didn't happen. Then when that didn't happen, like when I went down, Casey was like, I'll just do my vlog and work on other projects. Matt Hackett was like, I'll just do other stuff too. I don't care. And I had another job here. So I was like, that's fine. I don't feel like working for CNN proper. I'll just.
So where along the line did you become this 2-state citizen where
Yeah.
you're like living in New York and you're living in Los Angeles? And I mean, where are you from?
So originally I was born in Washington, D.C. Grew up for the first 8 years of my life in Virginia, and then moved to Colorado and grew up in Colorado from like 8 to 18.
Where in Colorado?
Evergreen, Colorado. It's a wonderful mountain town. I would highly recommend going.
Is it near Denver or is it?
It's like 30 miles outside of Denver.
Okay.
It's in like the foothills.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. I loved growing up there. And then I lived in New York for about 11 years and then moved to LA and then lived in LA for a year and then moved half to New York and half to LA for a year. And then I'm back in LA full time.
Because I'd only met you once when you were living in New York.
Yeah.
And that was when we did the superheroes versus gaming
Yeah,
heroes
when I was
video.
Ash. I love
Yeah,
that
dude,
video.
that was our first collab.
And wasn't that your first directing one
That
too?
was
Yeah,
the
I
very
remember that.
first video I
love that
worked
video. It's
on
so
for
good.
Corridor. Yeah, thank you.
That video did well.
It did do well, yeah. Dude,
yeah,
you got your
up
face
there with the
beaten up by
greats.
Yeah,
Captain
I
America.
got murdered. I got murdered by Captain
brutally
America.
beaten.
Brutally beaten to death. Remember, because I do die. Because I'm like, I say a line or something, and then like my hand up as the master ball comes out.
Gotta catch him.
Yeah, I gotta catch 'em
Yeah, and
all,
I just die, and then my master ball opens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
But I think, and actually, this is a fun fact, little IMDb trivia for you at home. The only reason I was cast in that video is because I already owned most of the outfit, I think.
That is only half true. That is like
Like, who do I know that has an Ash Ketchum
The only
outfit?
reason we cast you in that was because you had Ash Ketchum. The only reason you're the first guest on the podcast is because you're across the street. It all makes sense.
Yeah, I know how you guys operate now.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay.
yeah.
and then you came down to this street and you got your office here in 2016.
Yeah, 2016, because that's
Yeah.
when Vsauce became independent from Google.
Yeah, so can you talk about that real quick? Because I don't think most people realize all Vsauce channels were Google owned
I didn't
for the
know
longest
that.
time.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Like, you guys weren't making ad revenue from your videos. You guys had salaries
Had that
from
Goo
Google.
money.
Yeah, I mean, that sweet, sweet Google money.
Sweet Goo Goo money.
Yeah, so basically, YouTube acquired a company, or Google acquired a company in 2011 called Next New Networks. And Next New Networks was an MCN. I don't know why Google chose that MCN to buy, but they bought them. And that's basically right after the acquisition is when I came on board. Because now they had this department that could like make content and also were creators and understood how creators thought. The reason they acquired it was mainly to learn. Like they had creators and they didn't have to
look
like
at you guys and like from a balcony and watch you make
like, what are they
videos.
doing?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like we would work, like part of my job was working with product and like UX and all these different departments and telling them how I use the platform as a creator.
Okay.
And then also they could do experiments with us since our channels didn't have to make money since we were just employees there.
Right.
I remember like when, before it was end cards, what was the thing you could make those
Annotations?
bubbles? Annotations. Like we tested those out. We tested all these different features. Like we'd really go heavily in playlists, which is why leanbacks were a thing that Michael created.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter if our videos failed or not. We just were experimenting. So we were literally called lab channels. because we were just a lab. We would be experimenting with different parts of the platform that maybe never even saw the light of day, but we'd play with them and see how they worked.
But then it became a success. And you
Then it
guys,
became a success.
your channel started doing really well.
So as Vsauce started getting bigger and bigger, we started doing less and less actual work. So like my job, because when I first started working there, I was doing Space Lab. I was also managing the YouTube New York space, like booking people, like helping them set up their gear, all that stuff. And then I was also helping Michael with Vsauce, like editing dongs and stuff. And then as I started,
Yeah, dongs. Explain what a dong is real quick.
So a dong is something you can do online now, guys. It's a dong. We have a whole channel, youtube.com/dong.
Did that start as like just a joke that Michael had from Vsauce 1? He was just like, funny. I'm just going to make this act.
Yeah.
You're just in a back room in New York City somewhere editing dongs.
Yeah, I'm just editing dongs, looking at dongs all day.
And that has since become like its own fully fledged channel, like the Dong channel, which is really cool because you watch it, it's a few minutes long, and has all these different like things you can go do online now. Guys. But yeah, okay, back to
so you guys were working at Google. We were all there. Michael then transferred to the London office, I think in 2013 to 2012 maybe? 2012? Yeah, maybe 2012. End of 2012. He transferred to there. Kevin moved to LA to work out of the LA YouTube space, and I was just in New York by myself. And the channels kept growing and growing, so we just started doing Vsauce because that was very valuable to YouTube because they had these successful channels that they owned. So we could really do more insights. So like a big part of my job turned into being going to like, it was really cool. I got to travel all over the world, which I'm very grateful for, but I go to like Zurich and I talk to the engineers there and express to them like how I use the platform. They're like, well, how do you use the platform? Like just discussing what works best for creators. And we were kind of just like inside advocates for creators, which I really liked.
Do you feel that YouTube derived a lot of value from having you guys, or?
I think they got a lot of great insight.
Because they still, I mean, I think this is a factor of the platform being so large, but they still don't quite understand it.
So I'm gonna say that's entirely because we no longer work there. That's the reason why it's terrible now.
Do they still have like labs of any kind where there's people doing that stuff?
What they do now is they'll have like these lab channels, but they're more like 6-month long internship kind of things, where they'll like choose different creators in different markets, and they'll give them access to the YouTube space, to like the strategist, audience development, and they give them like a budget to make content.
Okay.
And so that was kind of like the YouTube Next Up program.
Yeah, so they basically expanded the YouTube Next Up program that you were in.
I was in the second iteration of it.
And it's really cool.
Second year.
And now they've made it bigger where instead of it being like a week-long thing, it's a 6-month-long thing. So that's what they do instead of having house channels. And one of the issues that we ran into, which is why we kind of wanted independence from them. I mean, I loved working at Google, and I really did feel like we were doing good by being there. And my favorite part is that they literally had no say in our content, ever. Like they didn't even know we made a video until it was public.
Hey, saw you made a video today. Don't know why you had to tarnish Google in it.
Well, because like we're science, we're not gonna like say terrible things.
Low risk.
Yeah, so that was really great, and they gave us so much freedom. The issue that we ran into though was part of our job was to be able to speak to creators and speak to brands about what it's like being a creator. And we didn't get the full experience because we couldn't do brand deals because we could do a brand deal with Google.
Right.
Like for Audible, like no. Get away. Yeah. So we couldn't do that. We really wanted to make, I had this idea for what is now the Curiosity Box. I couldn't do that. We couldn't like write books. We couldn't do live shows.
Or like, I guess, merchandise. Like you couldn't sell
t-shirts. We couldn't merchandise. We also couldn't do YouTube originals or YouTube Red shows because that'd be favoritism. So we couldn't do any of these things that we felt as creators we should be able to do. And again, it would give us the actual confidence and knowledge to talk to creators if we could do them.
So you felt a little constrained because of the connection?
No, I think the issue was...
It's like you're living under Papa's house.
Yeah, I don't want to...
You got to make it on your own.
I don't want to disparage Google because it was a lovely place to work, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities that they gave us at Vsauce. But it felt like we wouldn't be able to grow the business the way we wanted to with them. Because they don't care about books. They don't care about TV shows. Like... They care about you making content on YouTube, but that's not what YouTube is anymore. YouTube is a part of the business, not your only business.
Yeah.
So we felt like to grow, we needed to leave, and they agreed. So they gave us full ownership of the channels beginning of 2016.
And that is what I find cool. They just straight up gave you the channel. They didn't sell it to you. They didn't like work out some sort of contract. They're just like, all right, it's yours now, right?
Yeah.
And so suddenly
you didn't have to buy it? Wow. Because
I know they did that with a couple other channels like Indie Mogul.
Yeah.
We're friends with those guys too, and they got their channel back, which is really cool. So now fresh little baby straight out of graduating high school, fresh out of the house, and you're like, all right, a whole new world, time to make some content for ourselves and to also survive on your own.
Yeah, which was very important to us. Like, it's scary. Having Google there as a safety net was like very nice.
Yeah.
Because again, it didn't matter if the videos performed well or not. They always took it as a learning experience.
So how's it gone?
It's gone really well, I think. I mean, the issue is it's one of the reasons why we were able to make content so infrequently, and we could really focus on quality rather than quantity. Now we're struggling with what that looks like, but again, that's one of the reasons why we created things like the Curiosity Box, where that is what helps pay for us to make content.
That was a really good idea, and all the stuff that I've seen from it has been really cool.
Oh, thank you.
So good work on that.
I feel like half my wardrobe is from the Curiosity Box.
It's not easy
so
to
many
do.
of the shirts that I wear on our Corridor Crew channel are like straight up from that box.
So the Curiosity Box, let's talk about that for a second. Do you have tiers, or is it one price, one thing? How
there's
often?
only one product.
Just the
The box that you can
And it's
buy.
a quarterly
It's a quarterly box. There's no way to buy, like, we don't have like a Teespring or whatever it's called site. Like, there's no Vsauce merchandise besides the Curiosity Box. And the whole reason for that box being is I remember I was talking to Loot Crate at VidCon like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we want to do like a brand deal where you unbox Loot Crate boxes on your channel. And I just kind of joking, but I was like, what if I make my own box and unbox it on my channel? And they were like, oh, we've never done that before. Let's talk about it more. So I just met with them and talked to them. I was like, I want to do a Vsauce box filled with science stuff. And like Michael and Kevin were into the idea. So we did the first box with them, and it was a holiday box in like 2015. End of 2015? No. Yes. No.
One of those holiday boxes.
And then we did it. Then I didn't particularly like working with them, so we found another company and worked with them for our holiday box 2015. And they were great because they really cared about the quality, which is what we cared about. Loot Crate was more focused on, let's just make a bunch of money and sell a mediocre product.
Yeah.
That didn't fly for us.
Yeah.
So we worked with them. It was great. And from that, we learned how we could make this into something that we could actually do quarterly. Because we do spend a lot of time with it. Like, every product in there is designed by us, manufactured by us, besides things like the Steam game and the book. Those are the two
You
things.
manufacture all those products?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So we find, unfortunately, it's
Sorry,
not,
I shouldn't
it's not all
swear on
American
this.
made, but we manufacture them in Asia. And then we package them all
That's
here.
a lot of work.
Yeah. So we
That's a
like we
ton of
actually
work.
just finalized the design for luckily this isn't a spoiler because this box will be shipping by the time this video comes out. But we had this really beautiful Mandelbrot poster that Michael designed. So it's really cool. Mandelbrot, you know, like the Mandelbrot set?
No.
So it's this,
I mean, maybe I do, but
it's like a
please remind me.
fractal. Well, I don't want to spoil it. You have to see the poster.
Okay.
I can show you on my phone after. It looks amazing. But like, that's one of the products in the box that Michael designed, and it looks incredible. And the whole point of the box is to give you that Vsauce experience at home, so you can actually touch it. So instead of a do online now, guys, it's a
Instead of a dong.
do offline now. It's a dong. It's a do offline now, guys. It's still a
dongle.
dong.
It's a dongle instead of a dong.
No, like one of the first boxes, because I bought like a whole year's subscription of the boxes, and
Thank you.
we opened one of the boxes on our channel last year, the year
Yeah.
before. And it was like the
So we unboxed your box on our channel.
well, it wasn't quite an unboxing, but it was more so just being like, hey, check out these cool things I have. It was like the gyroscope.
Gyroscope, yeah.
And what was the blue liquid thing where it go through the pipe? I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, we called it the vapor liquid
We still have it
equilibrium
on
demonstrator.
The, on
Yeah,
the
that's it.
On the
Yeah, it's on display over there on our-
yeah, on the
our
shelf when you walk in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that one's cool because it's like you hold the bulb and the heat from your hand increases the pressure in the thing, and that forces the liquid to go up through the pipe.
Yep, and it
Yeah.
starts bubbling at the top.
Yeah.
So the idea was, and again, it is expensive. It's $50 a quarter, but we didn't want to make something cheap.
Right.
Everything is like premium quality, premium stuff, and that's the same reason we don't sell like a T-shirt on its own. I mean, now we have like a Curiosity Box store where you can buy older products from their a la carte.
Yeah.
But the reason we don't make like a Vsauce shirt, because it's a shirt. Like, I know I feel bad because you guys are wearing quarter stuff, but like to me, it
Oh,
needs
happenstance.
I want people to like have something that they can share with others, and that also isn't another reason the box is called the Curiosity Box and not the Vsauce box, is because the hope is that people, I'll walk down the street and I'll see someone wearing one of the shirts from it, and they have no idea who I am or what Vsauce is. They just really like the Curiosity Box.
Right.
Because it's, I think when you create content on YouTube or any business here, and you see this in traditional talent, like, okay, yeah, they're an actor or an actress, but they also have a makeup line, or they also sell like other stuff. They do other things, and it's not called like Jessica Alba's makeup. It's some different name.
Right.
Right.
And that was kind of the intention with it, is let's create a product that can exist outside of ourselves. So if our channels do go away, because we don't control the algorithm on YouTube, who knows?
Yeah.
We still have something that exists that we can still live off of, that is still a great experience for the consumer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's something we've gone over often, and fortunately we've been able to keep things like relatively within inside the Corridor brand. But at the same time, there's a lot of other ideas that we've come across where I mean, most of the time we haven't pursued them because it's just been a time factor. But I think that is really smart in the sense of what you're saying, where you're creating something that can live on its own. And like YouTube shut down the other day. It's a very real thing. Like it could just go away. Now it's a huge company backed by a huge company. Backed by a huge company. But you know, that said, like yeah, it's good to be diversified in any creative.
Well, that's exactly it. You have to diversify your business. Like the old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Is especially true when you don't control the basket.
Yeah.
Like we don't control YouTube. We have no idea how the algorithm works or like what the next apocalypse is going to be and who it's going to affect. So to me, it's really important that, because we never want to get in a place, at least on Vsauce, where we have to make content to make money.
Yeah.
We make content because we love making videos, and I want to keep that going.
Yeah.
So things like the box can exist to do that. And the same reason we don't, and I feel bad because I know you guys have Patreon, same reason we don't do Patreon or things like that is I don't ever want to ask someone for money unless I can give them something in return.
Right.
So for me, I want to give you the best science box you're ever going to get. It's $50. I know it's a lot, but it's the best experience you're ever going to get. Instead of being like, hey, give me like $1 and I'll give you nothing. I think that works. And also the main reason I don't do Patreon, and this, I don't know. Sorry, I feel bad.
Rip it up, dude.
Come on,
tear it up
keep
like
judging
a
us.
dog.
No,
Because
at a Christmas box.
I am a Patreon supporter of you guys. Like I subscribe, I think the $3 a month tier or something.
Cool, thank you.
I get the HD downloads, the 4K downloads.
Nice.
But I don't want to do it because I also don't want to feel beholden to anyone. Because sometimes like I'll be working a video, it doesn't work out, so I don't make a video that month. And I don't want people to feel like they're paying me and I'm not delivering, like I'm just taking their money.
Right, yeah.
I never want to feel like I have that kind of commitment to a person that's like a stranger on the internet, and I don't want that responsibility.
Yeah.
So that's our main reason at Vsauce for not doing that kind of stuff. And instead, we know we can deliver a product every quarter to you.
Two questions. Has the box been fundamental in allowing you to have that creative freedom financially?
Yes.
Second question, do you think because this goes back into your Could You Survive the Movies show, YouTube Originals and YouTube Premium, two separate products. Not everyone knows that.
Right.
Now, what you were saying earlier about products existing on their own, do you feel that when YouTube did YouTube Premium or YouTube TV or YouTube Originals, they should have branded those differently to separate them in the mind of the consumer?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they did a very big disservice. When it was originally came out, it was YouTube Red. There was just so many products within that it's hard to spotlight all of them. It's like, I pay for YouTube Red, which at the time was like $9.99 a month. I get Google Play Music for free. I get ad-free YouTube. I can offline videos. I can do background audio on videos. And also I get access to these YouTube Red shows.
Right.
It's like, okay, but what if I don't want all those things? Or like, what is YouTube Red? Like YouTube Premium, is that just a higher tier of YouTube? Like, what does that allow me to access? Can I upload larger videos like Vimeo Plus or something like that? It's very complicated, and they've done a very terrible job of explaining what each product actually is and how it works.
And then the most important thing I think about that is what you were telling me the other day, which is, they didn't explain the product, but also the premium, the money that comes from YouTube Premium does the most to support the channels you actually watch.
Right, yeah.
And so it's not just this blanket of ad revenue that's being like washed across the algorithm and hope you get some.
Yeah.
The YouTube Premium money actually goes to the channels that you're watching.
And that's actually a thing that was very frustrating to me. And I remember talking to YouTube about this during the adpocalypse. I was like, why aren't you guys promoting more that YouTube Red at the time, or we'll just call it Premium, YouTube Premium, actually, that money goes to creators? Because that's the thing, like, the thing that always sucks about now YouTube, but traditional media, is that advertisers have the say. If advertisers aren't going to pay to advertise on your show, then you don't have a show anymore.
Right.
And if advertisers aren't going to do the same thing, like don't want to be on your content on YouTube, then you don't have content anymore because you need that money to survive. But what YouTube Premium allowed users to do is take that power out of the hands of advertisers and put it back into the hands of users. which is the same thing. That's why HBO exists and Netflix exists.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's by the fact that you pay for it.
Right.
And now you get to watch what you want because you're the one paying for it. And that's what YouTube Premium does. I watch Corridor Digital, great. They get some of my $10 a month subscription goes to them.
Right.
So now I'm actually paying for these channels by watching them. And that to me made so much sense and was such a missed opportunity for YouTube to really, but again, they didn't want to promote it because they make the majority of their money from
ads.
advertisers.
Yeah.
They don't want to piss off their advertisers. They want these both products to exist together where I think Premium
They should have just separated
is the best product.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a great ad-free YouTube is the best experience in the world. The fact that I know that I'm supporting my creators that I like is great. Offlining videos is wonderful. And the premium shows are a bonus.
I've had YouTube Red since it began, and it's like my favorite thing because, well, first off, like the thing that affects me most directly are the ads. I don't really like seeing ads. Who does, right? But you know, I don't want to use ad block and not support my favorite creators at the same time. So like most of my YouTube viewing is on my TV. And so I don't like sitting through ads, and there's no way to install ad block even if I wanted to on my TV. But YouTube Red was the easiest way to get rid of those ads. Yeah. And it's just, I've not been able to go back.
Well, wouldn't it be great if just a fraction of the people who use YouTube out of like the billions of monthly users that they have,
right?
If like 100 million people signed up for YouTube Red or YouTube Premium at like, what it's now $12 a month?
Which should be 10% of their total user.
Like then they wouldn't have to
base.
Rely on advertisers anymore.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't have to be ad supported.
Right.
And I that's the dream in my life is like when YouTube is just supported by, instead of like dividing everything up, because now they have like YouTube members or whatever where you can like support for $5 a month an individual creator. Have you seen that?
They do it on live,
yeah.
on YouTube Live now too.
Yeah, you have like Super Chat.
Yeah.
So you can pay money, but there's YouTube members, which is basically Twitch's version. It's Twitch subscribe, but on YouTube where I can pay $4.99 a month directly to this channel. So they have that. But then there's also Patreon. Then there's also YouTube Premium. I always thought that YouTube really messed up by not buying Patreon, to be honest, and just turning that system into the YouTube membership thing that they have now. Because it's just so divided. Yeah. And I think that's a fear that we're going to run into is where people are supporting channels via Patreon or these memberships, and they're not going to have enough money now to like support other channels.
Right. That's
like they should bundle them.
Yeah. That's a point we're getting to now is there are more and more pay subscription models. Disney's working on a huge one that's going to come out next year, the year after, that's going to take all their stuff off every platform.
And I already have so many subscriptions.
Yeah,
my dog has a subscription.
BarkBox?
Do you have a BarkBox?
I have a Bark.
Yeah,
I get BarkBox.
It's turning back into traditional cable now.
It's becoming just as expensive.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know what's going to happen at that point. But people will reach a point where they just, I mean, everyone does this. I already reached this point. I started cutting subscriptions.
Yeah.
So I was like, these are kind of expensive and I'm not really using them.
Yeah.
It actually reminds me.
I'm probably not going to.
On a side
having BarkBox.
note,
this is not an endorsement for BarkBox.
No, it's not. I'm ending my subscription for the record.
Is what was it? Subscriptions. Oh, the saturation point that I feel is going to happen on YouTube. Where not only are we going to see it with subscriptions, but because we both do these things where it's like Audible or Skillshare or Squarespace, we're going to hit a point where no one wants to sign up anymore. They've already signed up if they wanted to sign up. And that's a fear that I have, actually.
That's I'm
going to talk about advertising for a second.
Let's do it.
I really dislike performance-based advertising. And what I mean by that, for those at home, is where the value of the ad that you're promoting is paid by how many people turn into subscribers of that product.
Oh.
So it'll be like, we're doing an audible.com. Go to audible.com/
What's your ROI?
Vsauce3.
What's your click-through? What's your CTR?
Like that kind of stuff I hate. Because then they'll be like,
what's
okay,
your conversion?
well, we only got 1,000 subscriptions for this. We were hoping for like 5,000. So if you want to do it again with us, that's fine, but we're going to pay you infinitely less.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, I got you. No, the way that I do advertising in my videos is that you're paying for ad space. It's like a billboard on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I get it. Like my favorite example is always with Ford. They spend like $3 billion a year advertising their cars. And guess what? Like 2% or 5% of people a year buy a new car. But what the point of why they spend so much money is because they want you to think Ford when you think about a new car.
Yeah, it's about keeping it in the mindset of people.
So
and
this
awareness.
performance-based advertising to me is never going to work. Because you, like, let's say make an Audible video twice a month or like once a month you're doing Audible. Everyone who's watched your content knows about Audible now. They either signed up or they didn't because they don't care.
Yeah.
So that performance number is always going to go down. And so you're going to have to get a new brand and it's just going to keep going down. It's never going to be this flat line of like, oh, we're good, we're fine. Because everyone now pays for performance-based advertising instead of just like brand awareness marketing.
Like for instance, with the Audible spots that we do, I like to do those because it's just for me a really cool opportunity to talk about a book that I recently read or really liked or listened to. But and I remember seeing some comments being like, you know what, Wren? I finally got Audible because you finally convinced me I should do it. And it had nothing to do with the book that I was recommending. I mean, maybe it did, but it was mostly just like I talked about it enough times. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I think I don't even know if they used our URL to do it. I had talked about it enough times with enough enthusiasm that they're finally like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go for it.
Right. That's what actually that person found to be interesting about it.
And that wouldn't have been reflected in the ROI, I guess, of that particular spot. It would have, because the only reason why that matters is because of all the other times I had talked about it.
Well, that's the thing that they can't track when it comes to this like performance-based thing is maybe I make a video and I'm like, oh, go get us website at squarespace.com. And maybe they do it the next day. But since they didn't click the link in my description, I don't get credit for that person who signed up for it.
Yeah.
And that to me is very frustrating. And also I don't know, it's weird because like, we're promoting these products, but we don't own a percentage of Squarespace or of Audible. Like we have no ownership in it, yet they're being like, be our brand spokesperson. You sell the product for us, and we're going to continually making money off it because these are all subscription-based services, but you get a one-time fee for selling your audience.
So is the best form of advertisement one then that is more what you were talking about earlier, like which is similar to our philosophy, but Casey's philosophy, which is the brand is the hero and they make something possible, but they don't get in the way.
Yeah, like they are the reason this exists. And that to me is the best. It's goodwill. I mean, I did that with Lowe's for my Home Alone video. Where at the beginning it says like VSauce3 and Lowe's present. And then we have a behind the scenes on their channel, but they're not in the video elsewhere. It's because of them that we got to make this really great experience. And I think viewers that care about your content and care about you then feel appreciative to like the brand because they let this happen.
Right.
And now they are the hero. They're like, oh, you're a good guy. You let Jake make this dream project.
Yeah, it's not like come over to my side and make what I want you to make.
So Blue Apron's really great. Everyone go sign up to Blue Apron. You got to do it right now. It's 20% off. You use blueapron.com/Vsauce3. Now let me tell you about my video. It's like, no, because I'm going to stop listening because I just had to listen to an ad, so I don't care what you have to say anymore.
It's like interesting you bring that up on a podcast because that is like the quintessential form of advertisement.
It is, but podcasts I
think
think makes sense. Podcasts are a little bit different. YouTube videos don't feel the same yet. Like, and it's so weird to me because you watch television, you'll get served with 3-minute ad breaks every like 5 minutes. But on YouTube, if you get anything over like a 15 or 30-second ad, you're like, whoa,
every
no, thank
hour
you.
of television, you watch what?
Like 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's 20. Sorry, let me do the math here.
16 minutes, I think. Yeah.
16 minutes.
So you have this whole thing though where it's this weird division that I don't really understand. Where
do you think that's just has to do with the fact that like YouTube is so new that people haven't figured out marketing exactly yet?
No, I think the issue
is
that YouTube is new
relative to TV.
The issue is that advertisers aren't spending enough money on YouTube yet. In terms of like that CPM that we get, those like views that we get when people watch an ad before a video aren't high enough. And I think that will change over time where we don't have to rely on doing brand deals. My dream, that's one of the reason we have the Curiosity Box is so we, hopefully when it gets big enough, never have to do a brand deal ever again. Unless it's something cool. Like I get to do brand deals where it's like, oh, we're going to give you Paul Rudd. I'm like, dope, I'll do that one.
Yeah, dude, I remember that video.
Unless it helps the video be better, great. But if it's just me at the end being like, oh, go sign up for this, I'd rather not do it. But sometimes you have to because you just have a business that you have to run. You have to make money to do it.
Right.
But I think that YouTube advertising needs to get to the point where it mirrors TV advertising, where you're doing Better Call Saul. Okay, great. I got to pay $100,000 to run my Home Depot ad during the ad break there.
For mind share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they need that stuff for us though, where it's like instead of $2 per ad click, it's like, no. It's $20. You got 1 million views on it. And out of those million, let's say 100,000 were monetized at $20 per CPM.
Right.
Cool. I can now make a living off this and not have to worry about anything else. But it puts you in this weird place on YouTube where you do need to create other ways of making money, be it brand deals or making t-shirts and selling stuff.
Yeah, I mean and
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. That's been something that we've struggled with as well. Like that's why I brought up the Curiosity Box. I wanted to talk about that because that's constantly something we're striving to do is how can we become independent completely from ads.
100%.
It's a long road, but I think
for you guys
we'll get
too,
there eventually.
Your focus is always on quality content. which is one of the things I really respect about the videos that you make. And, you know, I said this, guys, to you yesterday, but like, you know, I would watch your videos before I started making the videos that I do now. I would like watch your guys' content and be like, oh, I want to make something that looks that good. Like, remember, one of my favorites is actually the Portal video that you did, I believe. The
Portal trick shots?
Portal trick shots.
Dude.
Didn't you direct that one?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. Like that one, I remember just being like, this is so incredible. Like, it's so smart. It was so clever. I was like, I want to make something that good, like that clever. And so I get inspiration from you guys just kicking butt. But sorry, back to the original topic before I started just dropping.
I mean, you can keep
applause on
complimenting
you.
us. That's I'm okay with that.
But it is this quality focus over this quantity focus.
Yeah.
Is that rewarded on YouTube? I don't think so. But
I don't think so.
what if, you know, we had these ancillary ways of making money so you could just focus on quality? And that's what we're trying to build at Vsauce.
Right.
Is let's create these other avenues, be it the Curiosity Box, maybe it's like Vsauce Productions down the line, these other things that allow us to make the best quality content on YouTube without having to sacrifice that to be like, well, we just need to keep making videos because we need money.
Right.
No, I just want to make things that I want to make. I'm very arrogant about it, but I'm fine with that because I make these things because I want to make them, and I'm really happy that people enjoy them. But at the end of the day, that we make things because we're passionate about it. Mm-hmm. It's not like doing YouTube isn't an easy job. Even the people who it looks easy, like, you know, you can look at like a Jake Paul, we'll say, but like I will say I might not.
That's not easy.
I might not like the content that he creates. Might not be for me, but this man has an empire, like a business that he had to build himself.
Yeah.
And it's like difficult to do. Even the like PewDiePies of the world. It's like, oh, they just like live stream and make video. No, they're running a whole entire business.
Yeah.
And they happen to also be the business. Mm-hmm. Like, it's difficult.
Yeah.
I think people really, I guess, underscore or underappreciate how much work and talent is involved with seemingly untalentless.
Talentless.
Talentless
ass clown.
Untalentless.
Untalentless. I mean, like
You swine! Where's my wine carafe? I'm Wren.
Yes, but yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't really appreciate how much work and talent someone like PewDiePie has.
Yeah.
Or like is required to run a channel
Right.
like what PewDiePie does.
Well, it's easy to dismiss any of that stuff, which is why again, if the content isn't for me, that's fine. But I still think that these folks that are successful on YouTube obviously are very smart when it comes to how they operate their business, or they wouldn't be successful.
When you first came on the Corridor Crew channel, Ren had mentioned this earlier, but something was going on in your life at that point. Something pretty serious. You had cancer.
Yes.
I
did.
Yeah, I want to hear about this. I have some questions that I'd like to ask you about it.
Okay. It makes it sound like you don't believe it. You're like, I got some questions
Dude,
about this cancer you
I
had.
don't know about this.
What kind of cancer was it?
So it was a sarcoma, which is a soft tissue cancer, and it's very rare. I guess there's only like 2,000 cases a year or so
Okay.
in the entire world.
Yeah, so like 7 billion people,
In the entire
2,000 cases.
world? Mm-hmm. And there's a cure for it?
No, there's no cure for cancer.
Or, sorry. Well, yeah.
No,
There's
like
a
permanent
treatment.
cure. There's treatments.
Yeah.
There's no cure. So basically, it was very inopportune timing. I mean, it never is opportune, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
boy, I wish I got cancer today. Anyway, so I had just moved to LA. Like, I moved here October 2015, and then in November of 2015, I got diagnosed with it because I had this lump on my shin, and I assumed it was just a bump. Like, I hit something.
Yeah.
And it kept getting bigger. So I finally went to a doctor. The first doctor said, it's probably just like a cyst or something benign. It's not a big deal. I was like, okay. I went to another doctor. Said the same thing, but he was like, you know what? We'll just remove it and we'll test it and see what it is.
Right.
I was like, oh, cool, let's do that. So I had a minor operation. They cut it open. And I even like Instagrammed a photo of the tumor.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Oh, whatever. Then a week later, I get a call and it's like, hey, so we got the results back and you have cancer. It's sarcoma, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh, dang. Okay. So I went to Cedars-Sinai here in Los Angeles because they had a dude who was well-versed in sarcomas. Huh. And they kind of went through it with me. And basically, they gave me two options. There was the optimal idea in their minds that would make it so I wouldn't get it again, which was to cut off my leg. And I was like, what's the second option? What's behind door number two?
Okay.
Door number two was that, because the issue was on my shin. So when you do have cancer, like, and they need to cut it out, if they can cut it out, they need a wide area to be able to remove it, because just one cell is all it takes for it to propagate again and spread.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get very deep because it was right on my shin bones. That's why they're like, well, let's just cut off your leg and we'll know that we got it. So I was like, well, let's just not do that one yet. So I went in for an operation in December, and I was in the hospital for a week. And they basically just cut open my leg. I have photos of it. It's gross. They like took out this wide area of my leg, and the hole was so big that they had to fill it with something. So they went in and they cut open the side of my leg and took the bottom part of my calf muscle and flipped that over and put that on the top to fill the hole. And then they took a skin graft from my hip and put that on top of it there.
Wow.
And it was very difficult. I was in the hospital for a week, which isn't too long, but I couldn't move.
A week nonstop, like you're in the bed the whole
I was in a
time.
bed for a week. I couldn't move.
Yeah.
Couldn't do anything. Like nurse had to come in to like wash me and all those things. Like I had to pee in a bucket basically
Right.
that I would then put on my table, and a nurse would come in and like empty it and bring it back to me.
Our nurse is great.
They are great. But it was very difficult. And then after that, I was able to go home after a week, like I think the day before Christmas I went home. And I still couldn't move. So that was very difficult because like my bedroom was on the bottom floor, but everything else was on the top floor. So I had to like get on my butt and scoot down the stairs.
Wow.
And yeah, and I had to do physical therapy for a month. And then I started, after my leg was healed enough, I had to go back to the hospital every week to check out my leg because I also had a tube coming out of it so blood would come out so I wouldn't get blood clots in my leg.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then end of January, I started doing radiation therapy for 3 months. So every day, Monday through Friday, I'd go to the cancer center and do radiation treatment.
Can you describe exactly what that is, though? So it's like, I remember you getting like tattooed dots.
Yeah. So it has to be at a very certain location on your leg or wherever the treatment needs to be delivered. So I remember going in, they were like, do you mind if we give you tattoos? I was like, I don't care. I got tats. So they had to do these, instead of drawing tracking dots every time on my leg, they just tattooed the tracking dots on to where they had to align the radiation machine.
Right.
So they tattooed these dots, still there on my shin. Did that, and then, I would sit in and be about 15 to 30 minutes. And it was funny because, like, when you get an x-ray, they always leave the room. It's this giant machine that I'm, like, laying in. And everyone leaves the room, and it's, like, dimly lit, and they always have, like, Enya playing. And they're just doing like radiation treatment to me every single day. And it was difficult because it zaps you. It takes out your energy. But also, the funny thing about radiation therapy is that eventually, generally, it will give you cancer. So like if I get cancer again, it's not going to be because my sarcoma is back. It's going to be because I got cancer because of the radiation machine. But what it does is it basically just kills everything. Yeah. So your skin like starts peeling and blistering. Like I have these giant gross blisters on my leg like all 3 months, and they were like super painful. Huh. But you just have to do it because you don't want to die.
Yeah. Right. So like this radiation machine, was it like this big articulating arm with like cameras on it to identify where the dots are to be able to orient itself?
Whoop, whoop. Yep.
And how big was like the actual radiation stream from it? Was it like a pinprick size and it would just kind of like move around, or is it just blasting the entire area without moving?
No, it's relatively pointed, so like it knows where it's going and it moves around the leg.
Okay.
It shoots radiation at you. Can you see it?
No.
Okay.
But the thing that was always so strange to me, is that like it's this thing that I can't feel it while it's happening. Afterwards, once it's done, like then you start feeling the effects of the radiation, which is what makes radiation poisoning and stuff so scary to me. It's like it's a thing that you can't see, that you don't know that's there, and then when you do, it's too late.
Yeah, that's. I just learned today that people that get leukemia often it's because of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
Oh, well, if you paid more attention in Could You Saw the Movies Mad Max, we talk about that.
That's where I learned it. Yeah. That's where I learned it.
Oh, yeah, we did it. Yes. Accidental learning. Yay.
That is where I learned
I take back my snark then. All
right.
You're forgiven, Jake.
All right, thank you.
But yeah, so that was a very interesting time of my life. Sorry, you go.
I mean, yeah, so I'm just kind of curious about the experience of having cancer, because most people just know that having cancer sucks.
Yeah.
Like just kind of generally like, all right, it sucks and I might die. Those are like the two main things people know. So you're saying it zaps your energy. Now, like how does that work? So it's like, you're like, oh, I'm having a good day. I had coffee, I went in, had radiation, and then now I'm just tired.
Yeah.
Is it, how immediate is that? Is that just kind of like an ongoing thing throughout the course of the months you're doing radiation?
Yeah.
Or is it like only for the first few hours after the treatment? And
No,
then
it would
wears off?
happen most of the day. And I think a lot of it too is, if you've ever experienced like depression where you have no motivation to do anything, like you want to, but like you just can't get your mind to agree to it. Like your body's just, it feels like your body's separate than your mind. Like I would be like, I want to do these things, but I just physically can't because I have no energy. I have no excitement. I have like no motivation to do anything. So I would do, because my appointments were at 1:15 every day. So I would do all of my meetings and stuff in the morning, because after radiation, I just couldn't do anything. I'd like go home, lay on the couch and just like sit there and do nothing.
Right.
I ordered a lot of delivery, racked up a lot of Postmates bills.
Oh, man.
So yeah, that was really difficult because it was frustrating to me because I don't like being stationary. I like to always do things. I like to always be working. That's why I like did 2 jobs at once in New York and LA. Like I just always want to do things.
Yeah.
So that was very frustrating to me because I was basically like imprisoned in my own body and I couldn't do anything. And then every day with the death thing, like for the entire year, like all of 2016, up until the end of it, when they finally told me that like I was cancer free or had been in remission, should I say? I like every day I was just like, well, I could die today. It's like how I felt every single day, and it was this constant thing that I had. But then it gets to the point where you're like, I'm fine with it now. Like I could die. So it was a weird headspace to be in. But I am happy that I got cancer, to be honest. Like it sounds weird, but I think
I imagine because it gave you a new perspective on life, right?
Yeah, I've become a lot more open-minded towards things. Like I used to be very much like, oh, I don't like that, so I'm not going to experience it. Now I'm like, oh, I want to experience this to see if I like it, because I don't know.
I think I remember you saying, wasn't you having cancer and then going into remission, like basically recovering from that? Isn't that why you took the beme job in New York on top of basically starting out a new YouTube, not a new YouTube channel, but a recently independent channel? So now you're working in 2 states, and that was like, you're like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm gonna, or not. It's not that you had enough. You're like, I want to have more now. I want to be able to do everything that I can.
Yeah. Well, I felt like I didn't do as much as I could have done for like a whole year because I was just like done or like scared or whatever. So I wanted to make up for that. So I was like, oh, this is great. Now I can have like another job. I can do more things. I can prove, and a large part of why I took that job was to prove to myself that I could do something else. I wanted to see if I wasn't just like a one-trick pony. I mean, I don't know the answer to that yet still, but that was part of it. And yeah, part of it was the cancer thing. I was just like, I'm here for such a short amount of time, regardless of if I like get cancer again or just in general. And I want to do as much as I can. That's always been important to me, is like doing more than you think is possible and pushing yourself.
And you made a video when you did have cancer. Like you made a full VSauce3 video. Can you just kind of briefly explain what it's like making a video, like production schedule wise?
It was very difficult. So that video actually I had written, like I planned to make it in December of 2015. But then all this stuff happened and I delayed it. And then I just had no energy or motivation to make it. And I felt bad because I was like, I'm going to be like in a chair. And then as time went on, like I think it was about 5 or 6 months since my last video, I felt very self-conscious. Like, oh, I've been making people wait for so long. Like, what if it's not good? I can't move, so I have to be stationary the entire time. Like, is it going to be really dumb? Are people going to be upset? And eventually I just like forced myself to do it. We had to do it. We could only film before I went to radiation therapy. So like the longest video it ever took me to make, like even the Mad Max video took me 3.5 days to film. This one took me like a week to film. And I just have to look exactly the same every single day. And Eric would come over, who does all our VFX and cinematography on Vsauce, and we would just film like in the mornings for a whole week. And then I would like sit in my little chair and like edit it and then just do everything that way. But it was difficult. That's why the whole video, so it's called like 4 Logical Paradoxes, I think was the first one.
Yeah, paradox video.
And in the entire video, I'm sitting down. Like I'm in my Eames chair. Like I never move out of the Eames chair because I just couldn't walk anywhere.
Now, didn't you acknowledge in the video that you had cancer?
Yeah.
And that's why you weren't going to be moving much?
Because also I want to acknowledge the fact that like this is why I thought it was a pretty good excuse for why I'd been gone for like 6 months.
I feel like having cancer is a good enough excuse for practically anything.
So that was interesting.
Two questions on that. Number one, when did they tell you, okay, it's in remission or you're cancer free? Like, at what point did that happen after?
That was in December of 2016. So I remember that very well because I had never really like cried or anything about my lot in life. I was like, well, this is just what I have to deal with and I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I remember going to the doctor and I did, because for a while now, basically when I was going through treatment, I had to go in like every day. And then it turned into, after we finished radiation, I would go in once a month and do scans. Then it was every 3 months. Then it was every 6 months, and now it's once a year, starting this year.
Okay.
So I had done my like 3-month whatever checkup, and they came in to tell me the test results. Like, there's no signs of anything. Like, everything looks really great. Like, your cancer is in remission. And I remember being like, what was that one? He was like, sorry, I was like, am I cancer free? And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Well, good seeing you, doctor. I gotta go. And I remember like going to the parking garage of the cancer center, just sitting in my car and just like crying.
Yeah.
It's like this huge weight had been lifted from me.
Right.
Because I literally thought every single day that I was gonna die. Like I'd already planned out what my last video was going to be, and like I found out all the music for it.
Dude.
Yeah.
And like what it would look like and the topics that I would talk about, and like I had this whole it'd be called A Life by Jake Roper. Like that the title of the video would just be called A Life. And just be about like what it means to like be alive and all these things. And then would end with this very nice montage of like my favorite moments from like videos that I've made or like videos that I've been with my friends, and it'd be set to this song by M83. So I'd have to like try and get a license from them. But anyways, I had this whole thing planned out.
You'd be gone at that point, so you could just post it.
Yeah, no one would care.
Set it and forget
Well, that's the thing.
it.
I had the whole schedule. Like I would make it like while I was in the hospital bed, like I'd start filming it now, and then like as I got worse and worse, it would like progress through that.
Yeah.
well.
And then like I would basically ask like Michael or something to make it public like once I had died, like then make the video public.
Wow.
So I had this whole entire plan in my head of like what my final video would be because I thought that I would die at any moment.
Right.
So when he told me that I potentially wouldn't die at any moment, I was like, I don't know. It just like rushed over me, and I just sat in my car in this like garage in Los Angeles and just like cried for 20 minutes.
Of course you did. I mean, that's super powerful stuff.
And that was like the first time that like I actually like cried during the whole process.
Yeah.
But it's a lot to deal with, man. I think the things that always stuck out to me the most was when I went in for the surgery, the big one, and I remember filling out all the paperwork, and they asked me like who had power of attorney, basically. Like if you don't wake up from surgery, like who has the authority to pull the plug or not?
Right.
I was like, oh, that's the thing that I've never considered.
Yeah.
And like my girlfriend at the time was there, and I was like, hey, would you mind like doing this for me? And I had like lay out the rules. I was like, okay, so if like I'm in a coma for this long, like then you can pull the plug. If like this had, it's like all this stuff, and I had to like write a will, which I never considered I'd ever have to write now because I was in my 20s. Like what the hell? So that was all like very weird to me and very made it more real. I think I was like, oh, you have to have your affairs in order.
Yeah.
It's like, but I'm just going in for surgery, right? Like I'm gonna be fine.
Maybe.
I'm like, well, we don't know.
Probably.
And then the thing, like you go to sleep and then you wait, and you're like, okay, well, hopefully I wake up again.
Right.
So it's strange.
Yeah. Yeah, I dealt with that. I lost both my parents to cancer, so I'm intimately familiar with some of the things you're going over. But my second question, do you think there was anything, what do you think caused it? Do you think there was any particular thing, or do you think it was just...
So as far as I know scientifically, sarcomas are just mutations. It's not predisposed by like, if my parents had it, like I'm not more likely to get it or less likely to get it. It has nothing to do with like your diet. You know, it's not like lung cancer. We're like, oh, smoking could help that. It's just a random mutation.
It just bad luck.
Yeah, it just happens.
Do you know exactly what kind of sarcoma it is?
No, I know there's different ones. I don't. Here's the thing. I remember when they were telling me about it, I was like not paying attention. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I have cancer.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's whatever sarcoma. Like the thing I do remember is them telling me that it was like, because they do it by like grades or something. So it was like a grade 3. It was like the most aggressive kind.
Oh, it was a grade 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really aggressive.
That's not good.
And that's why they were
really
like very
glad
concerned.
You caught it, because at pretty much after that point, it goes to the rest of your body. And
yeah, so that's again why they wanted to cut off my leg, because they're like, if just one cell gets in your bloodstream,
yep,
like it's gonna go everywhere in your body.
Yeah.
Because since it loves soft tissue, it's like, what is your entire chest? It's soft tissue organs.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
Like what is your brain? Like it would just spread throughout my entire body. So that's what they like, would keep. That's why I had to go every single week and like do tests.
Yeah.
I had to get my blood drawn every single day, like all this stuff, just to make sure like it didn't spread anywhere. But yeah, they were very. So that's the thing I paid attention to, was like, wait, grade 3, what does that mean? And I would like look it up, and it's like, oh, chance of survival is like 10%. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's not great. Yeah, so it was pretty heavy. So I didn't really pay attention to it too much. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever they tell me to do. But I lucked out. I mean, luckily we caught it early. I didn't have to do chemotherapy or any of that kind of stuff. It was just radiation therapy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it worked out well. I still, I'm going in December to do another scan, and we'll see. But I feel good.
Good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's I'm glad, dude. That's inspirational to see like that you've come back. You've learned from it, and you're moving forward with that knowledge.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, weirdly, it was great to have. I'm happy I survived it, but like it really put into perspective like what was important to me and the things I wanted to focus on. And really, even though I feel like I've always been a relatively driven person, it really amped up what I want to do in my life.
That's a perfect segue, because I was just about to ask you, what is your ideal
Sunday?
That's a great one. I'm going to write that one down. No, what is your ideal creative format? Like, I think you already harped upon it earlier, but just if you could do any format, what would it be?
Stop motion. I'd love to make a stop motion
Really?
animated children's film.
Really?
Yeah, that's my dream.
Stop motion's a lot of work. Have
is.
you done stop motion?
Yeah, I used to have a show called Fax Surgery on VSauce3 where it would be
I remember that.
yeah, so it'd be like
Dude.
a PlayStation 3, an original Nintendo like disassembling themselves, and there'd be facts inside of them. And I made that because I love the art form. It wasn't so much about the facts. I stopped making it because people only cared about the facts.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, but it's about the art. So stop motion is what I would love to do. I've always, I mean, if I can make more of Could You Try the Movies, I'd love to do one that is just stop motion. Like I have a Miyazaki
30
themed episode.
minutes of stop motion.
I mean, we'd have to get a higher budget, but
Okay.
it
You
might be
need
short.
teams of stop
Yeah.
motion.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But I would love to make a stop motion film because I think you
Cool.
watch what Laika, Laika, named after the Russian space dog. Anyway,
Okay.
so they make Coraline, they made Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I would, if you're watching this, someone who works there, I would love to go like just tour their studios in Oregon. Like they are incredible.
Super cool.
And that's my dream is to make, because it's art. And I'm not an artist, but I would love to try and be one. And I want to do a stop motion film.
Awesome.
So there you go.
Great. Great answer. I didn't expect that from you.
I didn't either. Yeah.
Wild card.
Wild card. This guy's a wild card, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that's it.
We did it.
We did it.
First episode.
Yeah, first episode is complete.
What? Corridor Cast.
Dude, I really want to say thank you for coming on
dude,
and
thank
you. Of course.
and supporting this endeavor that we're doing because
Of course.
I'm not going to name names, but I emailed some other people and they were like, "Yeah, we're busy." They used the B word. They told me they were busy.
See, here's the thing about being busy. You can always make time if something's important to you.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about it. Relationships, work.
Yeah.
If it's important to you, you can make time and do it.
It's true.
I mean, there's 24 hours in the day. That's a lot. You just don't sleep.
Thanks for being here, man.
All right.
Thanks for having me. I love you guys.
If you guys liked what you saw, definitely consider checking out some of our other episodes. We even have cut downs on the same channel if you guys don't have time to watch a full episode. But we've got special guests. We've got great conversations. We're going to be doing this every week. So consider subscribing. See you around.